All right, listeners. In our last episode, we dissected the data on mental health management. Who's doing what, what's working, and what's not working. Today, we're dissecting a real person. We have Rick with us. Hi, Rick.
I love the choice of words there, dissecting.
Yes, not physically.
Rick is a middle aged man who actually decided to deal with his mental health stuff instead of just buying a hobby car or a very expensive mountain bike. Rick's a married dad of two, host of a very fun podcast called Small Town Scuttlebutt. It's very funny. And also a stand up comedian. Rick, welcome to the hot seat.
Hey guys, thanks for
Hey.
having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
So, question for you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm fine, 10 being like hit the panic button. How nervous are you for being the first male in the Midlife Confidential inner circle?
Ooh, I don't feel nervous. I feel empowered. This is great.
Woohoo!
Hanging out with the girls. Woo!
I love it. I love
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
hmm
All right, so Rick, I know a little bit
Yeah.
about your journey and admittedly a little bit more about the after. Can you tell us and our listeners about your mental health journey, starting when you first realized that maybe this is more of an off day or a phase, like, or if there even was a light bulb moment where you knew, hey, I got to get control of health.
I would say that it happened soon after just having kids. Nothing against my son and daughter. I love them. 14 and 12 years old. But being a parent, I think, put things in perspective. Kind of start reflecting on stuff. Something happens, you handle it a certain way.
Mhm.
It wasn't handled that way when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That started catching up with me. So there was anger, I guess. So that was like my thing. You're depressed, you're just really low, easily frustrated, I think, at stuff that you guys probably would just go, that's annoying, where I'm like, and then I would, what they do call is a circle think about it. Someone could cut me off, give me the middle finger, and 2 days later, I'm still like, I hope I see them again. I'm like, you got to let that go. It doesn't do anything for you. It's not very productive.
Yeah.
Doesn't resolve it. Yeah. So, I was handling that with smoking pot, and decided to get some real help because I feel like, I'm 49. I've got several years left with my kids. I mean, my daughter is going to high school next year. That's like, I just brought her home from the hospital like yesterday. When people say life moves fast, when I used to hear that when I was 5, I was like, what are you talking about? Life lasts forever.
It's
And now I'm like,
glorious.
oh my, yeah. Now I just went to my 30th high school reunion like a year ago. And I'm like, that's amazing.
You bring
You
up a
know?
good point about, and I know we'll get into this, about drinking and smoking pot. And I think that for many people, they would answer the question of how do you manage your mental health? And they would say, I drink a lot and I smoke a lot of weed. And we know that those two things exacerbate anxiety and depressant. I mean, alcohol is a depressant. And so there is this period of time where that may have served you, a very early on period of time where it served you, and then you lean the other way and the pendulum completely switches and all of a sudden it is becoming the thing. It's like what's the saying, like lighting your house on fire to stay warm, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's, it's just a downward spiral. It's
Yeah.
not the answer. It's, we call it self-medicating.
Yeah.
You pick your poison and lean into it. I got rid of the alcohol many, many, many years. My daughter was 5 months old, and for one time in my life, I always looked down on drunk drivers and just never said I'd do that. One night I did and crashed my wife's car into a guardrail. And when I got home, I just threw the keys on the counter and said, I'm never drinking again.
Mhm.
And that probably saved the marriage. But I immediately went into this program called Smart Recovery.
Mm. Mhm.
And it's created by a physician. It was at a Newton Wellesley Hospital. And Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, I'd go in, and it was different than AA, which I did for a couple months. If someone came in, they'd say, okay, so you don't think that you've got necessarily a major problem, you can manage this. Um, let's just see where your priorities in life are. What's your number one priority? And you could always just look to the guy next to me and go, he's going to say family, and the guy would say, probably family, and this would go on. He's like, what's your next thing? He's going to say career. Probably my career. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm 2 for 2. It gets like down 4, 5, 6 spaces down where they're like vacation, hobby, that the tertiary stuff. And then the guy would say to him, how about alcohol? Can we put alcohol on here? And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, sure. So he puts it on like number 7. And then he works up the scale. He goes, all right, so you're at 7. So have you ever ruined a family vacation because of alcohol? Oh yeah. Okay. So he puts, and then have you ever lost a job? Have you gotten a divorce? Have you,
Yeah.
do your kids hate you?
Yeah.
And before you know it, the person's led to the fact that you've made alcohol your number one priority in life
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
I love
it's like,
that. So, in terms of when you decided, Rick, that from a mental health standpoint in the last couple of years, like, I gotta do something about this. Was there a compelling event?
well, this is last June. I quit smoking pot because I was just leaning into it exclusively. It's no way to live. I'm kind of separating from my family. And I had a 2-day episode. I call it an episode where you ever hear about someone who's just in a dark room and doesn't emerge and they're in this depressive state? Like,
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I was in my basement with the shades drawn with a blanket over my head for literally 2 days. I just wanted darkness. I wanted isolation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just have time heal this or get through it. And usually if I come out of this, that's happened like a handful of times in my adult life. And every time I come out of it, I'm welcomed with a great day. Like okay, I got that out of my it's like the clouds have cleared.
Yeah.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a Saturday morning at around 11 o'clock when I woke up, and it was a beautiful day out, and the sun was warm. The kids were getting in the pool, and I'm just coming out of the basement, and boxers and a t-shirt. And I just immediately got pissed off that I just wasted the day. Look at this beautiful day. It's already 11. Like, I mean, I wouldn't call anyone else a loser for whatever, but I felt like a loser. Like, this is pathetic. Then I was trying to do something on my cell phone and it wasn't agreeing with me because it's technology and I'm a 49-year-old guy trying to deal with technology. So I did what any irrational person would do. I just slammed it on the floor and then it broke.
How'd that feel?
It
Solution.
felt like it needed to happen. Like I had to release that fuck,
Yeah.
But then I'm like, great, I just created a big problem for myself. And these things are like $1,000.
Mhm.
So long story short is I go to an Apple store and they told me they would help me in a minute or two. And then I see them helping other people. So that irritated me. So I left because I figured the best thing, this is where my head was at the time, just filled with like just frustration and anger and nothing's fair. I drove 15 miles to the next Apple store and then I got in there and then I got my new phone and then they couldn't service it that particular day because of a Verizon issue. So then I go to a Verizon store and they say, yeah, this issue is affecting us too. You have to go to a headquarters. So then they send me off to another place. By the time I got home, I was so pissed off. And it's just so like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is rock bottom. I'm like, done. I remember I walked out to the screened-in porch and I just said to my wife, hey, I'm not dealing with this anymore. So I'm going to go check myself in at the hospital. So I did that. And she said, she's like, yeah, I think you should. Like,
Mm.
just a nice, like, this is a good decision.
And
She didn't walk me to it.
had that been an ongoing dialogue with you and your wife? Like, had she in the past either encouraged you or had you dipped your toe in the water on, hey, I think this is getting pretty bad?
Well, she didn't like the pot smoking. That's why I was like on my own accord trying to stop it.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is like 2 weeks after the fact. It's like I'm not getting that relaxing. Like smoking pot for me was like a morphine drip. Like I just pressed the
Yeah.
button and it's like Doesn't matter anymore. That thing's,
Mhm.
I'm good. But
Mhm.
you're not really engaged. You're not really proactive. You're just sort of, there was no way to go through life, and I knew I had a lot more to do and offer. And because I'm an ambitious person, I just felt like I was crippled by it.
Yeah, and what was the problem? I don't know, I hate to use the word problem, but, like, what were you trying to solve for with you were self-medicating, to help with depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, all the above, kitchen sink?
Depression, anxiety, and just the anger. Not anger like running around like, like I'm a very agreeable, friendly person, but inside, I'm just like,
Like a low boil rage.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. My
Um,
my brother said something really smart because we were together sometime, and I was just irritated by some guy that did something, and my brother's so chill and laid back, and he said, Rick, maybe if you just real come to terms with the fact that the world is full of assholes,
mm,
and just through the laws of probability, you're probably going to cross paths with, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them every day. And if you have that mentality, the first time you get cut off, you can just say, hey, only 6 more to go. Like that was my first one. All right.
so manage your
We got
anxiety,
through it.
manage your depression, manage the assholes.
Yeah.
Yes, reset expectations. Rick, I'm very inspired by what seems like your ability to like recognize a problem and then kind of immediately take action. You did it with the alcohol, entering that program. It sounds like you did this when you felt like you hit rock bottom. I need to check myself into a hospital. What's that about? Had you been thinking about these things and then you're like, now it's time to take action? Or like, what makes you this kind of very action oriented person?
That's a good question because I feel like I can speak for, being a man. We hold it inside. We deal with it. We don't talk about it, and other people suffer.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. I guess like I
Mm,
see what people look like in my life that don't get the help that they really should.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
like this guy's a hothead. He's always blowing up at people. He makes holidays uncomfortable. Am I dipping my foot in that water? Because I don't want to be that person.
mm,
And I think that's I know it makes me a little uniquely different that I do try to nip things in the bud,
mhm,
you know, which I'm thankful for because I couldn't imagine like this past year has been just completely different,
mm.
just absolutely different. So I feel like I kind of see what not going to get help looks like and how it affects people. And I said, well, let's do the opposite of that
Yeah.
because I want the opposite result. I want my life back. I want to, you know, go do stand-up comedy and get out there and do a podcast and write and hang out with my family.
Rick, can we take a step back a little bit? I'd love to hear if you're comfortable sharing more about from that moment where you were like, I hit rock bottom. What was then your experience and during that time and then, how it translates to how you're doing now, which sounds like you're doing much better now.
Oh, yeah, well, I just gave myself up. Like that term, hitting rock bottom, it's like I coulda kept going on. I just felt like if your car is operating at 20% efficiency, like there's oil dripping out of it, you're filling the gas tank every 50 miles because the gas mileage is so bad. You got a flat tire, right? Like maybe take it to the garage. I mean, can you still drive that thing to the grocery store? Technically, yes. Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if you're just going to take a little time out, bring it to the garage, call an Uber for 2 days, get your car back, things are going to be a lot better? I mean, that's an analogy I would use to explain
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
the
Treat
situation.
yourself
Yeah.
better than a car. You are more than a hunk of steel. That's a
Well, yeah,
Yes.
it's like also, can I tell you something? I'm 49 and a half, and I'm already like, not to be morbid or negative thinking. It's reality, but we're mortals, like
Mm,
I have 4 years left with my daughter in the house and 6 with my son. And we have the empty nesting life, which the world's our oyster. We can do and go wherever we want. So I want to make the next 30 years, God willing, if I can make it, to be good, to be positive,
yeah.
to be there for other people.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. And I think our podcast really focuses on this midlife stage. And I think this wisdom and this ability to kind of reflect on the years ahead really can only
Mhm.
come when you are in this midlife stage and when you're actually counting those numbers and realizing, wow, like it's not infinite, but you don't think about that stuff when you're in your 20s or in your teens.
Right. Can I just say when I got out of the hospital after a week and I came home, I felt like, you know what, I'll just get ahead of this. And I live in a small town. For better or worse, everyone knows me. They either really enjoy my antics and things I've said online, or they don't. You know, I'll just say there's an echo chamber and I like to rattle it on occasion. And I just said, I'm going to get ahead of this. And I want everyone to know that it was great. Like, jump in if you need to get some help. Don't. The stigma kept me from going for about a whole year, to be honest.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
went online and I just told everybody, this is where I came from. This is where I am now. This is what I did about it. I wish I did it a year ago, but it was the stigma that held me
Yeah.
back. The stigma also killed 4 people that I know to suicide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One woman was in our wedding and, you know, my wife's best friend.
Oh my
That was the
gosh.
most recent one.
Sorry.
Left behind 2 kids. You know, it's like, it didn't have to happen, and that happened. And I never was suicidal, but there's only 2 where I was, there's only 2 ways to get out of it. You go to a hospital and get professional help, or you do the unthinkable. And some people go the other way. I would just say to any man out there, or any woman too, but men in particular, because I understand the stigma. I got to be the man of the house. I'm the alpha. I got to provide. Dude, you can't take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself. So
Mm.
do that first. I don't know what people say when I'm not around, but I do know that people have come to me privately saying, hey, I also had to get help, or do they also help with this, that, the other thing, or what was it like? I've been thinking about going. I've been pretty low. One guy told me that he went to outpatient rehab, just inspired by me talking about it. And, yeah, I've taken several phone calls and private
That's
messages
amazing. That's
from
amazing.
guys that and I knew I knew it was gonna happen too. When I wrote that email, I had a picture because the first thing we did when I got out of the hospital is I just wanna go out for ice cream with the family. So we go out to ice cream to our favorite place, Bubbling Brook in Westwood, and we get a family photograph, you know, eating our ice cream, and then and then the message followed about, you know, good to be back with my family and all that. And I just knew that there was people that like, I thought, you know, a year ago, if I had seen a friend of mine or someone I respect that had posted that, I might have gone a year
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
but no one did. No one says, "Hey, I got help and it was great," and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
I think that if one person hears your story and decides to do something about their mental health, I mean, maybe
Huge.
I'm speaking for you here, but that feels worth it to me. Since our audience is primarily female right now, that's about to change. I I think we have a lot of listeners, and I know I have a lot of friends and family members who often talk about their husbands because that's what we do. And one of the things that comes up often is like, oh, my husband, like he's struggling, or I really think my husband has, undiagnosed XYZ. What's your advice to the women?
I'm glad you asked that. They have sex with your husbands at least 3 times a day.
Okay. All right.
It'll make everything happy again. Everything will be perfect.
Oh, they're
You
going
said
to love you, Rick.
3 times a day? 3 times a day?
At
You
least
said?
3
I just
times,
want to
and if
get
you're
this
not
right.
doing it, it's probably your fault, okay?
Okay.
See, that's the
Noted.
comedian in me. What I would say is this. I read this quote from a therapist. It says, people that need therapy typically don't go. The people that go are their victims. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? There's truth to that. Like, who go? Maybe these women that you're talking about don't go see a therapist, but they go out to dinner with their girlfriends
Yeah.
or go out to coffee, and that's a little session there. You're talking about your life and your issues and stuff. What they can do is it kind of sucks that you can't make someone go get some help or some treatment, you
Amen.
know?
Amen.
People, I think, just kind of white knuckle it and
Yeah.
get through it. I
Yeah.
mean, if
Yeah.
you're a wife or a girlfriend or a sister or a mother or whatever of a man in your life that you think definitely could use someone to talk to at least, I don't know, maybe just pass this episode along, 'cause in it, I've talked a lot about it. Just give yourself up. Just jump in. I kind of like, I'm not on a crusade or anything, but an opportunity like this allows me to shit on that stigma.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it killed 4 friends. It wasted a couple years of my own life. No one cares. Nobody cares about, everyone's got their own stuff in life going on. So if you're dwelling on like, oh, what will people think of me? Or how do I get out of work for a week? Or, to go, just figure that stuff is so inconsequential
In
And
to what
comparison,
will
right,
happen.
that's a
right,
really
Yeah.
right,
good
right. That
point.
stuff matters less than actually feeling better. I mean, at the end of the day, did
Right.
that matter as much versus like, look how you're doing now?
Yeah.
Also, too, I think one could ask themselves, what's at stake if I go seek out a therapist? What's at stake if I, check myself in somewhere? What's at stake, XYZ? But also, what's the cost if I don't do any of these things? And I think we can all agree that the cost of not getting help is way greater than the cost of seeking help.
Yeah. And even if you think you're managing it in life and you're hanging on, ask yourself, are you having fun? If today was your last day on earth, are you looking back going, woo, that was awesome? Because if you're not, you didn't do it right. You didn't go through life the right way. And to hell with anyone else thinks, to hell with all these other things. If you can't like yourself, if you can't be happy with what you're doing, you can't share that with other people.
Yeah.
You can't, like my relationship with my kids and my wife, of course, but especially with my kids, your mothers, right? So you have kids, like, oh, you can't love anything more than them. The fact that they are so into hanging out with me again. And,
Mm.
like I took my daughter, a 14-year-old, to the mall with 4 of her friends that she met up with. Where am I going to go? I'm going to just walk around the mall, and accidentally we crossed paths. Now, usually you think, oh no, Dad, you're so embarrassing. My daughter was the one who called it out. Oh, there's my dad. And all these other girls were like, hi, Mr. Vick. The girl from dance class, the girl from down the road, like I know these girls. And it's nice to have relationships and know who your kids are hanging out with. And
And yeah.
that just sort of told me that was a good barometer check, like, how you doing as a dad? Well, that was pretty good right there.
How do you stay accountable to yourself, Rick, that like if things start to turn or you start to notice you're feeling unwell again, like what do you do?
Hmm.
Well, it's a good question. First of all, just checking into a hospital, saying, hey, fix me, and then walking out. Yeah, I walk out kicking up my heels and feeling great. But then you're back in life, and all those variables and all those things are coming back to you. You learn a lot about how to handle that stuff, what's important, what's not important. But you have to stay on top of, like, you didn't just cure your mental health. Like,
Yeah.
I still have ADHD. I still don't have enough serotonin production in my head, but I can be mindful of the things that I've learned and picked up on and realized about myself, and also therapy. There's things that I think contribute to the stigma. Just the word therapy, it sounds, just with the male ego, it sounds weak, or, oh, you need therapy? Go talk to your therapist. I wish they changed the terminology to life coach, because, it's like, all right, guys, bring it in, halftime,
Yeah.
take a knee,
Hmm.
all right, this is what we did good. This is, you just go through X's and O's. So every couple of weeks, I go to Harvard Square and meet my doctor, who's great, sit in a really nice, comfortable chair,
Love it.
and I just get to say whatever I want for an hour. And it's usually, this is some of the stuff that's been frustrating me or not, but this is how I've handled it. There's a great book. If Another tip for women, if you can't get your husband to go talk to someone, get him a book called Meditations by
Mhm.
Marcus Aurelius. He's a Stoic. And basically the takeaway is, don't worry about or get frustrated with the things you cannot control.
Mhm.
It's a
Hmm.
waste of time. Focus only on what you can affect change in. And that really is a golden rule that I live by. I can't help that person being an idiot, but I can avoid them.
That's a healthy message.
Yeah.
All right, Rick. Jenny and I have a little rapid fire game that we're going to play with you.
Okay. Sure.
I'll go first.
Mhm.
What's a manly thing you stopped caring about once you started focusing on your mental health?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really changed in that regard. I still like my car and driving it. It's a sporty car. Like so I'm into cars, the sports. I'm into that. I'm actually thinking about coming out of retirement from hockey and getting back
Ooh.
into that just for the physical fitness of it. That's another thing. You need to get physical fitness. I guess one thing I've kind of given up was taking care of my body physically. Like I just weighed myself. Let's just say I'm about 20 pounds higher than I should be.
And if you take up hockey again, you can like really get out some of that low boil rage with the like shooting the puck against the plexiglass really hard, right? Did I use the right
Or
one?
just dropping the gloves and beating the shit out of somebody.
Fights. You can
Yeah.
actually get in fights that are encouraged.
It's part of the game. Part of
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah. Get the
No,
guy.
I think any guys that fight in men's beer league 10 p.m. hockey is
Oh God.
definitely a good candidate for therapy.
Okay, another question for you. We talk a lot about the mental load, and as Julie mentioned, our primary audience right now is women. I would love to hear from you. Like, what's the male mental load? Like, what's that running list that's going on in your head?
That running list starts with the list that your wife gives you in the morning of things you need to do. I don't mind it. Through talking with my wife, we try to make that morning coffee conversation. We call it the 30-second meeting. Because if we don't put a boundary here, I mean, you're just going to go all day about what I need. But give me the punch. Give me the bullet points. Like, I got you, And there's something about women that you guys are just wired differently, where you seem to know where everyone is at every second of the day, what they should be doing. And we're just like, what do we do now? Like, it's just, so it's helpful.
I feel so seen.
I'm not crapping on my wife with her meetings or, they're actually helpful. They frame my day. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I get my marching order. That's my job. That's what I do. So it's a little different. But yeah, like it also cuts down because I always tell my kids, never ask a question of somebody where you can find the answer yourself. Nothing's more annoying.
Agree.
No one's going to like you in the workplace if you're always walking around with the question. That you have to be the one with the answers. And so I have to remind myself that because it's so easy to just ask my wife, when am I picking up Rosie from dance class? Or when's Charlie going to go to the sleepover? Or, did you do the grocery set? I mean, we have a calendar. We have like these little meetings. So, like, oh yeah, the calendar. We got like a huge one in the kitchen.
Check the goddamn calendar.
You guys.
Skylight. Skylight is your answer when it works.
Yeah. Is that the digital?
Yeah.
I've seen ads for that. I told my wife about it.
Yeah.
It's
I like
great,
it.
but
Although
husbands seem to have like a blocker, like they can't see the screen. I don't know what it is. I think it's their eyes, like biologically, they just can't see the screen, but works great.
It's the radiation that comes off it.
Yeah, exactly.
my husband will be like, can you, if I'm going away for a night or weekend or just going somewhere for 3 hours and I remind him some things, he's like, it would be really helpful if you could write it down for me. And I'm like, it's on the Skylight calendar, which is on the counter where everything happens in this house. It's on your Google calendar. It's on your work calendar. It's actually written down on that whiteboard in the mudroom. But now you want me to get a pen and paper out and spoon feed it to you, and it's in your text messages. Like, what the fuck? Come on.
Well, I think that as wives, for a long time, you've been enablers. You've been giving him the Post-it note or the reminder. And at some point, you just kind of have to say, and the men won't like me for saying this, but at some point, you just have to say, go look at the calendar. You have to kind of treat us like a kid. Like what I say when my son is like, hey, Dad, when are we going to the thing? I'm like, go look it up, figure it out.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
you know?
Except sometimes it's more than that because what's in the calendar might be baseball, 5 p.m. But what's not in the calendar is clean
Where is it?
baseball pants, the uniform. Is that ready? Food. Kids need food and fuel about 45 minutes. And then you need to leave at 4:45, not 4:55, 4:45, because there might be road construction. There's so many things in there.
Yeah, that's a maternal instinct, and that's great. Nothing you said was false. But what the father can offer is survival skills. How do you play baseball without that fuel? You know, you're not going to have the fuel all the time. You're looking at me quizzically.
I'm
I'm
like,
kind of
wait,
being funny, tongue in cheek.
natural consequences?
Yeah, just like, hey, like my kid. I'm like, hey, did you eat? And can you make me something? I'm like, make yourself something. Whereas my wife will go make it for him. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to college with him. I'm not going to
Because
be
I'll tell
there.
you why. I'll tell you why your wife
Yeah.
made something for him. Because he goes to the baseball game, he's sluggish, he feels like shit, he's not performing well. Natural consequence, okay, you think the kid will learn, like, okay, well, next time I should eat. And maybe he will. But then what happens when you get home from said game? Who's now making the sandwich and making the food and dealing with angry kid that now has to do his homework? Like, all this shit could have been avoided.
Okay, so good point. Something we don't typically think about, the back end.
Gotcha.
Back in there. Yeah, no, I see your point. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
All right, this just took a
Can't
this
argue
just
with you.
took a real turn, Rick.
Yeah, I hate being wrong.
Let's get your wife on this podcast.
Let's not.
Gang up on you. Let's
Yeah.
have a panel.
Yeah, right.
Well, I could spend all day with the two of you, but
Mhm.
our time has come. So, Rick, thank you so much for being our guinea pig. You survived, we think.
Yeah.
Did you survive?
Yeah, I did. I mean, as a stand-up comic with a comedy podcast, I'm really excited to be invited to another podcast and talk about how sad I am.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, you're always welcome on our podcast. So, Rick, I think we're gonna have a lot of listeners, male and female, that are gonna want to find you. So, folks, you can find Rick at rickfinkjr.com, rickfinkjr.com. You can also find Rick's podcast at smalltownscuttlebutt.com. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. And you will find Rick out on the comedy circuit in Boston for those of you that are local. PSA, Jenny and I are not mental health professionals. If you or a loved one are struggling, 988 can always call that number. We'll put all sorts of resources in the show notes. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, and all the things.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rick.